The Prime Minister continues to roll out tariff relief for Canadian workers and businesses. Mark Carney was in St. John's last hour, where he announced targeted help for Atlantic Canada.
Today, I'm proud to announce that $80 million of that funding will be dedicated to businesses right here in Atlantic Canada. So equipping Atlantic Canadian businesses with the tools they need to respond to new challenges, to innovate, to modernize, to expand operations and customer bases, to take full advantage of new opportunities.
Let's bring in the CBC's Karina Roman. She joins us live from Ottawa. So Karina, take us through the Prime Minister's announcement today.
Well, this is basically taking part of what was announced on Friday in terms of this multi-billion, multifaceted program to try and help businesses, both small and large, especially in the sectors that are most deeply affected by the U.S. tariffs, on not just how to help them survive for a little bit longer, but to help them pivot to either new markets or new products and help them survive and actually thrive eventually in this Build Canada Strong mantra that he says so often. So taking what was announced on Friday and talking about how it's going to apply in this case in Atlantic Canada, where certain industries are hit more, have more difficulty than others. And that's where he specifically talks about the Regional Tariff Response Initiative. This was announced Friday. It was originally $450 million. Last week, it was up to $1 billion. Today, Mark Carney announcing that $80 million of that will go to the Atlantic provinces and their affected industries. He was asked, of course, how is the government going to pay for all these expenditures and this money? I mean, the full fund is $5 billion when you talk about this other strategic response funds and the like. And of course, Mark Carney trying to differentiate between what is an investment versus what is spending. He likes to sort of put those in two different categories. Not everyone will see it the same way, especially once we finally see a budget, because it can still impact the deficit regardless of whether we're talking about capital expenditures or operational expenditures. But he did talk about the effort underway right now to cut waste and unnecessary government spending to make room for these kinds of investments. He was also asked by a regional reporter about what kind of impact $80 million will have spread over 4 provinces, but he talked about how this is only one of the programs, of course, that will help Atlantic Canada. There was lots of questions, of course, about these nation-building projects. We're still sort of waiting for the revelation of what will be the first ones. The Premier of Newfoundland there making his pitch again, as all premiers are, in terms of which projects out of that region should get the go-ahead. So this, as I said, is an application, a drilling down of how a big announcement on Friday will apply to, in this case, Atlantic Canada. I should mention that we're expecting a call for a Newfoundland election, perhaps very soon, maybe next week. And so this is also perhaps a timely appearance for both the Prime Minister and for the Premier, who will be seeking re-election.
He is a Liberal Premier.
Yes.
Earlier, the Industry Minister held another tariff-related event. What did we hear from Mélanie Joly in Montreal?
Well, this was the application of the programs in Quebec, specifically in terms of aluminum, perhaps not hit quite as hard as steel because of the competition from the U.S. for in terms of producing steel is greater than in terms of producing aluminum. A bit more dominance of the market in the North American market from Quebec, but they cannot be as nimble because of the technology in terms of aluminum plants. You can't just shut down or eliminate a shift. It has to go 24/7. So in terms of the cost of tariffs, up until recently when the market price started to go up, aluminum has been really feeling the pinch through, diminished margins. So Joly was talking about how the program will apply, or the various programs will apply to the aluminum sector. But of course, she was asked about what does this mean, or is this an acknowledgement then that we're not going to get any kind of reprieve in terms of a deal on sectoral tariffs where, you know, aluminum, steel facing 50%, for example? Is this an acknowledgement that that's just not where we're headed? And she said that she still thinks they're headed in the right direction, that talks are ongoing, but you can't wait for that deal anymore. I mean, these industries are suffering, so they need the help now. And the only thing we can control is not how the U.S. is conducting itself, but how we react and how we shore up our own economy. So she was also, of course, asked about, though, the decision by Canada not to retaliate on those sectoral tariffs up to 50%. Ours against the U.S. are only 25%, and whether that is the right way to go, and whether they would still consider upping those. And this is what she had to say. Have a listen.
We want to continue to negotiate with the U.S. on a deal on steel and aluminum. We will adapt our strategy as things evolve. We think right now it's the right strategy to have. And meanwhile, we're helping the steel sector, we're helping the aluminum sector, and we're helping, obviously, the auto sector in Ontario.
Now, Melanie Joly there, along with aluminum officials, including industry CEOs and the heads of the industries and the companies, who seem to be reacting very well to the announcement from the government today, very positive about these steps. In contrast, perhaps, to some other sectors, certainly we're hearing from the canola side that the measures to help that sector has not been as well received. In fact, I believe they said it misses the mark. Of course, canola facing tariffs from China in reaction to Canada's tariffs against electric vehicles from China, which was in an effort to match the U.S. So you see this tangled web we weave when it comes to trade and how that can impact domestically. But so it's not been a universal thumbs up for these packages and these offerings, but we'll probably get more reaction as the days go on.
A tangled web indeed. All right, Karina, thank you. The CBC's Karina Roman live in Ottawa.